A lot of good to take away from Arizona basketball's red-blue game, and there is maybe an X factor that we have not talked about yet. Let's get started here on, by the way, it's brought to you by FanDuel. Let's get started here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we got a lot to get to this show. We are going to talk, though, Arizona basketball. We all know what makes this city run, and that is Arizona basketball right here. So the first couple things we need to talk about here are, what did we notice at the red-blue game? There was a lot to notice. There was a lot to talk about right there. And I think the first thing, though, that really kind of jumps off the screen at you is that this team is uber athletic. And not only are they uber athletic, they are a team that they are going to get up and down the court and they are going to dunk. And they are going to look to finish plays at the rim. You name it, they've got it. And I'm kind of at the point now with Arizona where Tommy Lloyd has definitely corrected some issues that I believe needed to be corrected. Now, we will see to what level they're going to be corrected. But the first thing that steps out, though, is the athleticism that is out there. And that is headlined, honestly, by KJ Lewis. KJ Lewis is the one dude who he got a little bit of Hassan Adams in him, and that he can jump. He can jump. He's really explosive. And on top of that, I think it's probably fair to say that he can just get up and down and do a lot of different stuff. This is not what a top 100 kid is supposed to look like by the recruiting rankings. This is what a guy who is probably somewhere around 25 to 30 is supposed to look like. And he won it. He showed off in the dunk contest. And not only did he show out in the dunk contest, he looked really good while doing it in the game as well. He showed some next level athleticism, which we already know about, but he also showed an ability to be able to get to the basket. He's also going to be a pesky defender. And not only is he going to be a pesky defender, I think he's going to fit his way right into that rotation. I don't know at what capacity he's going to play, but I do think that there is a very, very good chance that he's going to force his way into the rotation. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that that's the case for a lot of guys, a lot of these newcomers, but I do believe that it's going to be the case right now, though, because with him, he's just different all the way across the board. And he's not going to be here for a year. He's going to be in the NBA. But just a dude that just jumps off the screen, a lot of Hassan Adams in him, in that he's built like Hassan. He's kind of got that quick twitch muscle like Hassan. And not only does he have that quick twitch muscle like Hassan, he's physically ready to play right now. And I think Tommy Lloyd put it really well when he said he's taken to learning, he's taken to this, and not only is he taken to this, he's also shown that he can essentially push his way into the rotation. It's just going to be interesting to see how long before he starts jumping into some people's minutes, but that's going to be the case. Now, another dude, too, that brings a little bit of a next-level athleticism that certainly showed that out was Jaden Bradley. Now, again, we've talked a lot about Bradley, and I think a big part of Bradley is that, again, he's a little bit of a pest that Kirk Kriisa just isn't. And from an athletic perspective, he's able to get after you a little bit. He can dunk. He can get out. He can get out in traffic. He can do a lot of different things out there. Another guy that's just a pretty impressive basketball player. And again, you got to give Tommy Lloyd a lot of credit, because this overhaul of talent, this overhaul of this roster was not something that he needed to do. Again, the dude is 61-11 in his first 2 years as a head coach. And not only is he 61-11 in his first 2 years as a head coach, he's also, again, you've got the most wins in college basketball history. history those 2 years. Most dudes aren't changing things. He said, you know what? We haven't gotten as far as we need to get, and that's on me. And he went and he changed everything around a little bit. So there is certainly that to keep an eye on. But Jaden Bradley, KJ Lewis, kind of indicative of that next level, kind of indicative of that new era of Arizona basketball. Then the next guy we got to talk about is Keshad Johnson. Keshad Johnson is a dude who 6'6", 225 pounds, an absolute monster. Not only is he an absolute monster, he's also the dude who he can dunk in traffic, he can get after you, and not only can he get after you, he's going to hold players accountable. I think that's something that Arizona fans or Arizona folks were missing a little of, to be honest with you. Is a player out there that was going to hold some others accountable for, did you mess this one up? Did you do this right? Keshad Johnson, he's going to hold you accountable right there. And I think that's another thing that's kind of exciting about where Arizona is right now, that you have somebody like him that will be able to, let's be honest here, rally the troops, and not only rally the troops, but dunk everything. You want players that will dunk everything. Arizona had a lot of guys, especially in Azuolas Tubelis, who would not dunk everything, who would lay the ball up at the rim, and sometimes that's fine. And again, there's nothing really wrong with that, but there are also times where you just need to be able to dunk because it just sets a tempo. It sets a mold for you out there, and that's something that Arizona just didn't have. And not only did Arizona not have that, Arizona didn't really have anybody that was kind of even in that same trajectory right there. And I think that's where a lot of people are like, all right, you need to get tougher up there. Again, Lloyd didn't need to do it, but you needed to get tougher. You did just that. These three guys right there, I think, are emblematic of what Arizona basketball is going to look like going forward, especially because Tommy Lloyd has shown that he needs to be able to, that he needs some guys in there that can also hold themselves accountable and be tough in the same process. Because let's be honest here, Arizona's gotten beat up. That's just kind of the way it is. Arizona's gotten beat up over the last couple of years in the NCAA tournament. They haven't played well, and not only have they not played well, they have not been the team that has been they have not been the team that's been able to, that's been a tough out. Tommy Lloyd says, I want teams that will be a tough out. And Arizona needs that for sure. Arizona needs to be a tough out because, again, they've been kind of, like I said, they've been kind of punked these past couple of years, and that's not something that you'd like to see if you're an Arizona fan. As a matter of fact, it's something you hate to see if you're an Arizona fan. But one thing you don't hate to see, though, is FanDuel. All right, here's the deal with FanDuel. All right. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. Check it out right there. FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. All kinds of really good stuff going on. And not only are there all kinds of good stuff going on right there, this is the time of the year that you want to take advantage of it. You can bet on football. You can bet on basketball coming up very shortly, which we talked about. You got baseball right here. Baseball bores me senseless, but you know what? If I bet on baseball, it becomes more fascinating. So again, check it out right there. Would love to see it. FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. You will thank me later because, again, there is a lot to like about FanDuel. And you know the money's good. Everybody utilizes it. Check it out, FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, come back, talk about the rest of the team. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we got even more to talk about. And when I say we got even more to talk about, I'm saying that we got more to talk about right here. And a big part of that is the size up front. Now, this team, again, we talked about how they need to be stronger. They need to be more athletic. Get all of that, obviously. But you also just this team needs to be able to beat you up front with size. And they weren't able to do that in the past. And not only were they not able to do that in the past, they weren't able to really come anywhere near doing that. It works during the regular season, but when you start going against teams that are good, or in the NCAA tournament where then it becomes a little bit different. And that's where I think Arizona fans want to see a little bit of a move in another direction, a little bit more of a move towards, all right, we're bigger than you. Guess what? We're going to push you around. And Oumar Ballo, leader of men, Oumar Ballo right there. We need to talk about his contributions right there, because Oumar Ballo, during that overseas trip, he looked woefully out of shape. And not only did he look woefully out of shape, he also was just one impressive. And not only was he not impressive, he was not of the type where you want a player like that who obviously has had some issues with weight or just, staying in great shape. You want somebody like that generally to be able to push some people around, exert his will, exert his influence out there, and show everybody what he's got. That didn't always happen, quite frankly. Not only did it not always happen, he just wasn't in the shape that he needed to be. And I think what everybody hoped is that he would come back in even better shape this offseason so he could spend the time for the season getting into even better shape, getting into the best shape of his life. Now, he looked in much, much better shape right there. So I'm going to give him that, and certainly not writing him off. But there are some newcomers right here that I think are going to be a little bit of an issue for Oumar Ballo, and that's why Oumar Ballo needs to come in shape. If you don't come in shape, you're going to get some of those minutes taken, and I think the first dude that is going to be right up there to take some of those minutes is Montias Krivas, Mount Krivas. All right, at 7'2", maybe even taller, 245, 250 pounds. Krivas is good. Krivas has his back to the basket. Krivas can look either way. And not only can Krivas look either way, he's probably going to lead the team in drawn fouls. He has a very innate ability to, when somebody is around him, to be able to kind of use his body, use his leverage to be able to kind of get around that person, and not only get around him if he doesn't finish, because again, not a high leaper, not a great athlete by any means, but he also has the capacity though to be able to get those fouls. And when he gets to the free throw line, that's automatic money right there. So again, check that one out, because I think Krivas either way is going to be cutting into Ballo's minutes. And again, some of that is Oumar coming in a little bit out of shape. The other part of it, too, is also that Mount Krivas is definitely a good basketball player, and that's something that I don't think that we can really downplay, to be honest with you. He's going to be good, though. Another type of the newcomer that I think fans are going to be very, very excited about. Now, the other one, got to talk about Caleb Love. Caleb Love's fascinating here because he wasn't uber efficient during the Red-Blue game, but he also didn't try to take 25 shots. And I think that's the biggest concern that so many have, is that they are worried that he's going to try to take a bunch of shots that he probably shouldn't be taking. And that's not something that you want to have happen. And I don't believe that that's going to be the case. Listen, Tommy Lloyd has this program going on. Tommy Lloyd has this program going just the way that he needs it to go. And not only does he have it going the way that he needs it to go, he has it where he needs to be able to get those best dudes out there. And Caleb Love is going to be one of those guys. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know what his numbers are going to be, but Caleb Love was not brought in here not to start. And not only was Caleb Love not brought in here not to start, Caleb Love is coming in here expecting to start. And that's where, I think with Arizona, you just got to be cautiously optimistic. Tommy Lloyd knows what he's doing here. He wasn't going to bring in somebody that doesn't have a good head on his shoulders. And on top of that, Lloyd's already talked about how good Caleb Love has been for this team, about how he's done everything that he's wanted him to do and more. And that matters because, again, a lot of times guys that have come in with his kind of resume, his kind of scoring potential, they're frustrating because it's like, come on, man, what are we doing here? This is Arizona basketball. This isn't Caleb Love basketball. But Caleb Love has done none of that right there. And not only has he done none of that, he's also been, like I said, he's been a model player for what Tommy Lloyd wants to do. And again, got to give him a ton of credit. I don't know what his numbers are going to be, but like I said, he's going to start and he's going to definitely have some games where he carries Arizona. Now, the next step up then we have start talking about some of the holdovers right there. Kylan Boswell. Boswell's solid. Again, I think some people get a little bit ahead of themselves right there, projecting Boswell to be this, this one and done, this Mike Bibby type. He's not that. Again, he's a good basketball player for sure, but he ain't that. Guys like Mike Bibby are a one in a, to come through Arizona. You could easily make the case Mike Bibby is the best basketball player to ever come through here. I know most people would take Sean Elliott, but you could take Mike Bibby. I think Brian Jeffries one time told me, and I don't think he'd mind me saying this, that if you needed to have one player for one game to control the game and win the game, he's probably taking Mike Bibby. I agree with that. Bibby was just a different level type guy. That's what a two and done is supposed to look like. Kylan Boswell is not that. But again, there's nothing wrong with that. Kylan Boswell is built a little different than your average basketball player. We know that. But not only is he built a little bit different, though, he can also use that to his advantage. He's very, he's a thicker dude. And he's a pretty good shooter. He's a better player than Kirk Kriisa already. And on top of that, he's also the dude who I think has a lot of potential to be able to be that next to be that borderline all-conference guy. My concern is that I don't want to see him going into the NBA or trying to declare for the draft when he's not going to be drafted, but that's something that he's obviously got to figure out. All right, now, Athletic Brewing. All right, athleticbrewing.com. Use code LOCKEDON for 15% off your first order right there. Athletic Brewing. All right, my friends, check this out. All kinds of good stuff right here. It tastes good. It tastes like your normal beer, but there's no alcohol in it. So again, check it out. Had somebody offer it to me at the Tap and Bottle watch party, and guess what? It was very, very good. I very much enjoyed it. Athleticbrewing.com. Use code LOCKEDON for 15% off your first order. You will thank me later because again, it is very good stuff. And we're not just endorsing any stuff on here. You look at all these sponsors. These are big-time sponsors because they have a following right there. Athletic Brewing, right in that same template. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. Going to continue to talk about the returning players for U of A. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. The show is brought to you by FanDuel. All right, now we got even more to get to here. And not only do we have even more to get to here, we have the ability to we also have the ability to be able to talk about some of these other players on the squad. The next one, Pelle Larsson, the Swedish pinball, our guy. All right, now, first of all, my bad Pelle. The my bad Pelle movement is strong. I was wrong on Pelle Larsson, obviously. Everybody knows that. But Pelle was kind of more of the same, and that's not a bad thing. Pelle is a very good defender. Pelle can make the open three. Pelle can't dribble. Pelle still can't dribble, and Pelle's not going to ever be able to dribble, but that's not a bad thing necessarily because that means that if he's your fourth or fifth option, you're totally cool with that. And I am totally cool with Pelle Larsson being that fourth or fifth option right there. Now, as far as a statistical perspective, I think it's probably going to be something like 11 points, 4 or 5 rebounds, 4 or 5, 2 to 3 assists, something like that. I think that's probably where Arizona should expect him, and to play really good defense during that process. He's going to, again, Tommy Lloyd has talked about it. He needs him to be. Not only does he need him to be good, he needs him to be. He needs him to be that kind of that next level defender. And I don't believe there's any reason he shouldn't be that next level defender. And Tommy Lloyd talked about it last year that he thought he could be in contention for the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. That didn't obviously happen, but the same thing goes though. The same levels apply where you know what you can get with him. And again, I think he's going to be in a very good spot where he's going to be in a very, very good spot. And not only is he going to be in a very good spot, I think he's also probably right now, I think it's fair to say that he is how do I put this? He's where he needs to be right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, now let's look at some of these other guys then. You got Philly B, Philip Borovichinin. All right, Philly B won the 3-point contest right there. Philly B looked very good doing it. Philly B loves college life. And not only does Philly B love college life, Philly B, you can just tell he makes a lot of threes. He runs around. Not only does he run around the perimeter having fun, college life was made for Philly B. I'm not sure that he ever plays here, but I'm also not sure that he doesn't carve out a role. But again, don't see him playing much this year, but you talk about a strong practice player, and not only a strong practice player, but a dude who, a guy who pretty darn good, to be honest with you. He's definitely better than I thought. I didn't see him being this good, and he is good. He has become a very useful player for Arizona basketball, even if it's just in a practice role, and I think he's going to continue to do that. Big fan of Philly B, but it was also cool just seeing him win that three-point contest, and not only win that three-point contest, but also be at the stage now where you could maybe start projecting him out, though, as being somebody that maybe contributes later on in his career, which is something that I didn't really see happening. All right, now, the other two guys, Conrad Martinez, I don't see him ever playing here. He's listed at 6 foot. He looks more like about 5 foot, but I'm sure that he can do some stuff because Tommy Lloyd wouldn't bring him in if he couldn't. And Paulie M, I have big hopes for Paulie M. I just don't see Paulius Morauskas playing this year. I think there's too much talent in front of him, and a big reason why is that talent. We have already discussed that. You got Dylan Anderson, you got Henry Vasar. Those guys are definitely questions as well in a good way that could maybe help. But overall, this is a talented team right here. Not only is it a deep and talented team, it's a squad that I think can make a lot of strides going forward. And I think they're going to be a very tough outcome NCAA tournament time. All right, we're going to be back with you tomorrow, breaking down more Arizona football, getting you ready, and we'll start getting you ready a little bit for the USC game as well. Thought Arizona played well against Washington. We're going to talk all about that. But on that note, I'm signing off. I'm Mike Luke. We'll be back with you tomorrow. You have been listening to the Locked On Wildcats podcast.